So, hi, Nicola. I wanted to ask you about two things today. Myra, which is really where you started with this, and the key thing, but also to go back a little bit with MyLiferaft as well and tell me a little bit about that and the sort of story behind the two, really, and how they came together. So, sort of a shortened version, because I know we can talk about it all day long. So, how did it start, and how does or how did Myra evolve?
Well, first of all, Vince, I just want to say a massive thank you to yourself and to PharmiWeb for the support you're giving these really important products. How did it start? Well, I'll keep it as succinct as I can. Myra, the app, Myra Hospital Discharge app, was born from the MyLiferaft platform. MyLiferaft is a self-management tool for elderly people and their support network. How Myra was born was we were given an Innovate grant to carry out further stakeholder research, and this revealed the need to support older adults to get home from hospital once they'd been signed off, and it supports older adults and their families at the time of hospital discharge. The story behind MyLiferaft, well, as you know, for a number of years, I was the founder and CEO of Flex Global, a PharmaLex company, and now part of Sencura. It's a recognized global, I would say, actually, digital authority in trial master file services and technology. Flex Global, from when I started to even today, I mean, it continues to be very successful, but it became successful very, very quickly, which meant I had to spend many long hours at work, which was fine. I didn't have a problem with that. But I also had a disabled daughter, Faith. And we decided to sell the company because one of the driving forces was so I could spend more time with Faith. But very sadly, she died around the same time that we sold the company, and she died very unexpectedly. So I was left with a huge hole in my life, and I should have, and some would say, yeah, I definitely should have retired gracefully. But having sold the company and having lost my daughter, there was just this itch I couldn't scratch. So together with a really brilliant team, another brilliant team, actually, I looked at what transferable skills and methods we could apply to healthcare that we had learnt from centralising trial master files and using technology to bring about efficiencies there. And I'd found my life as a parent carer, there were similarities in that there was a lot of siloed and fragmented information. So we set about identifying the challenges family carers have in navigating the complex health and care systems. And MyLiferaft was born. And from that, as I've explained, the Myra App emerged.
Wow. Well, first of all, I can't ever see you retiring gracefully. I think when you're 90, you'll still be doing things, wherever that turns up. But no, well, that's fantastic. And obviously, it's a very personal thing and very emotive thing. But what problem does Myra solve? I mean, what's the background of Myra? Explain that a little bit more.
Well, Vince, what we found was that there are numbers of older adults who are in hospital who are unable to be discharged, even though they have met the criteria to be discharged. And they're not being discharged due to the lack of availability of important information that's needed by patients and carers. And it's fair to say, I think, that some delays in discharges are caused by inefficiencies in local authority and NHS systems, and are not focused on the end goal of timely delivery. And I'd like to mention as well, the impact, when I was a parent carer, and also when I cared, for my elderly parents and in-laws, that there's a lot of family stress that happens at these times in coordinating care arrangements. So the impact is quite far-reaching.
Okay, and I think when we talked about this before, and the thing that shocked me is I think because I'm commercial really, and I just look at what the cost is, and we worked out I think that the cost of the NHS was like £4 billion a year with bed blocking alone. Forget the fact that you can't get more people in and you can't get them out quickly enough. It's quite a serious thing. So that was quite an issue. Are there any other costs in the NHS of having people blocking beds?
Yeah, well, you're right in what you say. According to NHS England, I mean, there are up to 30,000 people a day, would you believe, across the UK who no longer meet the criteria to reside and who are remaining in hospital. That's an increased risk for them because the longer you reside in hospital, particularly if you're elderly or frail, picking up infections, etc. And it takes, for an older adult, it takes a week to recover from each additional day in hospital. So there's a huge human cost as well as a monetary one. And you're absolutely right. It costs the NHS about £395 or say £400 a night for people to be in hospital, and the cost is around £4.3 billion a year. But again, in the human cost, the cost to families, which is a lot of passion for me, having been a carer, in my time, but there's a cost also to the economy because, across companies, there are 600 people a day. This is the Carers UK information, 600 people a day who give up work to care. So it's a huge problem, in human terms and in economic terms.
Holy cow, that's incredible. I didn't realise there's that many. I mean, that's, this is just crazy figures, isn't it, really, when you think about it, for a country of our size. I mean, I suppose from my point of view, talking about other people, we've talked about who the people are, we've talked about the problems. How are you being supported? How are you getting funding to do this? Because I know from a business point of view you did very well, but you seem to be paying for everything yourself. And I know you've had a few small grants, but what are you actually doing? How could people help you?
Well, it's fair to say, yes, I have used some of the proceeds from the sale of my previous company that I've mentioned, but I have to say a massive thank you. I mean, we've had amazing support from family and friends who have been, absolutely, as I say, amazing in supporting this important work. We're now just moving things up a few gears as we've launched Myra and we want to push it out across the UK. So we're now reaching out to angel investors for our next round.
Great. Well, I think that's probably a good way to go. So that'll be good. I mean, is there any, looking at Myra itself, is it live right now? Can it be accessed? Can people have a look at it?
Indeed, it is live right now, Vince. It carries two levels of information. One is local and one is national. The local areas loaded at the present time are for the Isle of Wight, Portsmouth and Southampton, but there's a lot of useful national level information in it too. So there are two ways people can help us. It collects no data. It's a free app. It is useful to you wherever you are in the UK, but we just want people to bear in mind that their local area information will be coming soon. So if they go to the App Store and download Myra, or go to myra-app.co.uk, you can download it from there. As I say, it's free and it collects no data. So, you can help by simply downloading and opening the app. But if you are interested in investing, we'd love to hear from you. So do contact me. You can find me quite easily on LinkedIn.
That's really good. And from my point of view, I mean, obviously I'm always looking to the future. I mean, I know you've got a long way to go, but, to what scale do you think Myra can grow? Are we looking, just the NHS and the UK, or do you think this could be rolled out in other countries? I mean, there's a lot of private healthcare out there, but I think this sounds like it's really good for people that seem to be sort of locked in that churn of you go into hospital, you stay there, you can't get out because there's no care, and then you come out and then you have to go back in, then you've lost your care again, and you go in this like repetitive circle. And I think we talked about this before, where you're endlessly filling in the same forms time and time and time again. So how big do you think it could get?
Well, as I've mentioned already, in the short term, we are going to be through 2025 pushing the Myra app out across to all areas of the UK. We're also working on something called the Community of Care, which will facilitate smooth transition from hospital to home, and then we'll continue to support people to stay well at home to prevent any unnecessary admissions. The pipeline we've got is very exciting. It leverages technology which will enable us to carry out positive changes in the provision of care through using digital technology, just as we did with global trial master files.
Wow.
So very exciting.
Yeah, it does sound good. Well, look, let's we're going to wrap up there because obviously we don't want to sort of go on too long, but you've got my support. I think this is a great idea. I think what you've done and what you've put into it so far is absolutely amazing. And I think, yeah, let's keep going. I'm going to push it hard for you. Let's make this work and let's change things, because if individuals don't change things, it's very hard to change things at the top sometimes. But sometimes you can start at the bottom. I think this is a really good way of doing it.
Absolutely right, Vince. And thank you again.
It's absolutely a pleasure. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Brilliant.
As Nicola said, all of the information for this will actually be at the bottom of this podcast. Please help if you can. For anyone that owes me a favour or anyone that I know, I'm calling it in. Help Nicola to make this work, because I believe in it. Bye for now.